G'day guys and girls, it's Dave here again with Tom on the other end. Today we're going to show you a little bit of safety stuff on your van, mainly about towing, about the flatness of the van that you want it to be at for towing, and to make sure that when you're driving down the road it's not up, it's not down, it's nearly as flat as physically possible. In the past we've shot videos about the importance of level towing so that you're nice and safe. There's plenty of videos out there. What we want to show you is how to get your van nice and level so you are safe when you're travelling. So when you're looking for a new caravan or a used caravan, new to yourselves, have a look at the front of the hitch. This one, as you can see, is near enough to 13 inches from the ground to the bottom of the chassis, and to the bottom of the tow hitch, in this case it's a 50mm ball, is just above 470mm. This is more of your semi-off-road caravan. There is a height restriction in the build requirements between the hitch height to the ground, which I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the vans are made in that tolerance. This one's closer to the high end of it, which is why the hitch is on the top of the chassis. If we'd mounted this hitch on the bottom of the chassis, it'd be way too low for most cars these days. So when you're comparing vans to your car, either measure off with your knee, know if you're on the top of the knee, the bottom of your knee, depends how long your legs are of course. Tape measure is much easier, because the hitch on the back of your car will be somewhere in a certain range as well. And if it's not, you can buy up shanks, down shanks, or adjustable shanks. And that's the sort of thing a tow ball specialist can talk to you about with your car. But we spend a fair bit of time making sure that balance is right, and if we think you're in a reasonable tolerance, we can hook you up and send you on your way. If we think you're out of whack and it's going to be unsafe, we'll take the van off and send you down to somewhere like Hall's Tow Bars or Allen's Tow Bars if you're further down at Richmond, to get yourself an adjustable hitch so that when you leave the yard, you are nice and safe. So this van that we've just jumped over to is much higher off the ground. You don't really need to see the tape, you can trust me on it. If you look at my knees, you can see it's much higher off the hitch too. But this hitch has been mounted on the bottom of the chassis, so again, it's within that hitch towing tolerances. But this is the off-road suspension with a truss chassis, making the van sit a lot higher. But if this hitch was way up here, you probably wouldn't have the car to tow it. And if you did, you'd still have to buy an adjustable hitch. And if you put a lift kit in your car and all that fun stuff that people talk about doing, you might find that your tow ball actually sits up here to start with, and it's got a drop. If you wanted to request it from factory, they might be able to do one at the top, but that's another story again. So when you're looking for your van, check the heights, because it wants to be fairly close. Also check the tow ball weight. From factory it's measured. On a second-hand van, all sorts of things could have come into play, but if it's nearly 300 kilos, you hook it onto your car, you're going to sag fairly well, which also means your car is going to sit up fairly high, which is when you start talking about airbags and stiffer suspension and things like that. But you want to know that you're fairly close to start with, because otherwise as soon as you hook up, you're going to be wildly out, and that's not a good look, and it's unsafe. All right, so when you're looking at your van, either in handover stage or in a yard situation or in somebody's driveway because you're picking up a second-hand one, generally speaking, it'll be roughly flat. Depending on the slope of the ground, the concrete, the grass, we will line it up and we'll measure with a tape measure, because then we're assuming the concrete's reasonably flat. We know it is here in the yard. When we hook it up to your car, before we've done it, we'll have a bit of an eyeball at your tow ball height or your DO35 height. But once it's on, I'll get my tape measure out again. I'll come down the back of the van, and this one, an example, is 600 or 2 feet, depending on which number you want. I go about the same distance in front of the wheels, and it's 600 or 2 feet. If it's wildly out, we either want to look at adjusting your hitch, or we're going to send you down the road to buy a different one that's either adjustable, or sometimes you can flip your hitch, but we want it to be flat or nose down. But we certainly don't want to be nose up. That gives you a bit of a boat planing feel, and it's not safe at all. So one thing that might catch you out when you're measuring your van or checking for flat, if I measure from the ground to here, that's great. But when you look at the front of the Terry X, the body profile drips down. If I try and measure to that, I'm going to be wildly out, and by the time I realise, I've already wound the van up. So find a horizontal spot. Normally the gap between the checker plate and the body works good, because then I can measure here. I know when I come up to the front, I'm also measuring here. Whereas if I tried to measure down there, it's not going to be the same. You can get down under there and get it off your chassis if you want to, but That's hard work. You got to roll down there, measure, roll to the back, measure. Nah, do it on the side. So on this car, we've got a down hitch. It's very clear in the manufacturing stamp that they do not want you to turn it up the other way. So if you flip this over to get your hitch up to here, you're breaking your hitch rules. If something goes wrong, yeah, who knows where you're at. What you want to look at is you measure it. The base of the hitch in this one here is coming up to 450 mils. If we hooked up a Caravan to that, depending on how much it's going to sag, the easiest way to tell is you get some biggie like me to stand on the back and you measure it again. Because I'm near enough 100 kegs. So if the ball weight on your van's VIN plate says it's 100 kilo ball weight, you know how much the van's going to drop because you've had somebody else measure it while you stand up there. If it's going to be 200 kilos, well, that's two people, depending on how big you are. So that's a bit harder to gauge. We would suggest in that case, pack your car as if you're travelling, because that's going to make a difference as well. You might have eskies, you might have swags, you might have kids, dogs. That'll also bring your car down. So we ask people at handover stage, how much stuff's going in your car, how much stuff's going in your van, and we can get a fair idea as to which way you need to get your hitch to work, depending on how much you pack in. So this hitch is a bit older in its styling. There's no stamp marks on it, but the gussets underneath suggest that it's an upwards hitch. If it was in down, it's going to be way too low for most caravans anyway, unless you're getting a really old second-hand one. If you're unsure of the age, go get a new one, because the worst thing that's going to happen is something terrible happens to this, because it is what connects your car to your caravan. If we look at an adjustable hitch now, you'll see the sort of height changes you can get on it, and that's the next one down. This hitch is adjustable. There's multiple ways you can get them done. This style is actually for an American style hitch, different coupling system, but you can still use it for a standard 50mm ball, and you can shift your heights up by shifting the ball up. You're also allowed to spin this over and start dropping it down. So it's a very easy way to adjust your heights, because generally speaking, each of these holes is going to be an inch apart, which is why I like to use inches, because doing math on 23.6mm or whatever it is hard work. So if it's doing by an inch, you're going to be close. You can get Heyman Reese style, which are a bit more heavy duty. You can get DO35 specific ones, you can get 50mm ball ones. So again, it's dependent on your car and your caravan you're looking at. It might also be dependent on your car as to the length between this locking in pin and how deep it goes. Some of the ranges are really shallow. Some of the Mitsubishis are shallower again. So a standard hitch may not fit into a Pajero Sport, for example. You've got to get a specific hitch from a tow hitch place like Hall's or Allen's, one of those sort of guys. If you're unsure, give us a buzz. It's the easiest way to work it out. Quite often we get people send me photos of their setup, and I can advise them digitally. They don't have to drag their van all the way down here. If they're that worried about it, we can generally fix things before they move. And yeah, if we see it in person, we can get the spanners out and adjust a few more things. So there's a lot of chatter out there about van weights, car weights, this, that, and you can get overwhelmed. Hitch height is one of the pieces of the puzzle that you want to get right, because I can almost guarantee that I can hook just about any of these vans up to my car and it will be within a comfortable tolerance to drive it home. But if I'm buying a much older van, they're traditionally a lot lower to the ground. And if I've got a lifted 200 series, I try and hook it up, the back end's going to drag on the ground, not cool at all. If I'm going to do a lap around Australia, I want to spend a lot of time getting it flat. So we spend a fair chunk of time talking about that. If you're looking at a van, know what your car height is, know what the van height you're looking at is. There's nothing worse than hooking up and then going, oh, how do I fix that? An adjustable hitch is an easy way to do it, but it is an important consideration when you're looking at a van, because you don't want to get caught out on handover day by people like us going, look, I'm really not comfortable with you driving out with this van today. You need to go down the road and buy a hitch for $100, $200, whatever they might be. So have a bit of a think about it when you're doing your selection process. Ask the questions, because generally speaking, forewarned is forearmed. If you know what's going on, you're not going to get caught out in the short. If you get your heights right, you get your weights right, you've got everything, it's happy travelling. You hook up, you can drive off the caravan park, you're not the guys there going, oh, am I, aren't I? Take the time to work through it. It's not hard math with a tape measure. Carry your spirit level for when you're at camp, because the ground's never flat, and that way you're flat wherever you are, and that's good. Time to go camping, Tom.